Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, and today I want to do a review for you for 1983's X-Ray. Now, X-Ray clocks in at 89 minutes and is directed by, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Boaz Davidson. Now, X-Ray starts out with a group of kids, and I believe it's on Valentine's Day. One boy gives this girl a Valentine in front of, I guess, her, well, he kind of slips it underneath the door. The boy that she likes laughs. They make fun of him. They squish up the Valentine, and the one boy ends up killing the other boy. That's kind of like a generalization. Fast forward 30 years later, and this girl, Julie, who's played by Barbi Benton, and if that name sounds familiar, she was, I believe, a Playboy Playmate, and she did a lot of stuff in, the 80s, a lot of television. She was also in the movie Deathstalker, which I believe was a Roger Corman production, I think. But anyway, it's been a long time since I've seen that. But she plays Susan James, and she goes to the hospital to get tests, just like normal physical or tests done or whatever. And from there, I'm not really going to say too much more about the plot, although people are getting picked off one by one. And it seems like it's a plot to get to her. Now, this movie it's something. I like it. I've always liked it. And I'm going to give a big shout out to, I believe it's Horror Man. He mentioned this movie for Valentine's Day as something a little different. And it does have a lot to do with Valentine's Day from the very beginning. But, I like the charm in this movie, and with me, my favorite subgenre of horror is slashers. I know I've said this before, but there's something very nostalgic and something heartwarming for me, and that may sound a little weird, to pop in an 80s slasher film. It's what got me into horror. It's kind of what keeps me into horror, kind of, because some of the more modern movies aren't that good. But this movie is like I said before, it's something. This is a Cannon film. It's a Golan and Globus production. And a couple interesting things about the movie which kind of tie into what I'm going to talk about next is this movie was rushed into production to kind of capitalize on the slasher craze. So it was basically made just for that. Another interesting thing, Boaz Davidson was brought on to direct the film after they fired the other director for not kicking in the money for the production that he was supposed to kick in. And Boaz is Israeli, so I'm assuming that they knew him from their time in Israel, because both Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus are both Israeli. So I'm left to assume that. I may be wrong, but he was probably a friend of theirs and just called him up and say, hey, get this movie done, so on and so forth. Another interesting thing, and it's not really that surprising, is the day that Barbi Benton did her nude shoot in the hospital was the most crowded the set ever got. It's not really surprising, but anyway. This movie, as I said before, I love it. I love it just to be able to laugh at it. I don't know if this movie was supposed to be taken seriously, but there are so many goofy things in this movie. All I can recommend is, if you're looking for a straight-ahead slasher that has creep value and all that, you probably want to look elsewhere. But for me, this is a fun movie to watch because of all the just random and goofy stuff that's in this movie. And that's kind of what endears it to my heart and what makes me like it so much. Now, as far as a rating goes, I'm going to give this movie a 7 because I do like this movie. And, I do think it has replay value. It's definitely, I'll recommend it for if you're, with a bunch of buddies and drinking some beers, eating some pizza or popcorn or whatever. Definitely, this is one of the movies you want to pop in because you can laugh at it. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually someday there's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 uh, mock-up of it because there is a lot of goofy stuff in here. But it is so much fun. So much fun. And two of the kids from the very beginning, if they look familiar, that's not surprising because they were both in Bloody Birthday. That's the girl, Elizabeth Hoy, and the boy is Scott Jacoby, I believe. Billy Jacoby, I'm sorry. Billy Jacoby. But they were both in Bloody Birthday together. So it was kind of neat to see them together, in a different movie. But like I said, I'm going to give this a 7. If you have any comments about this film, comment below and let me know. Let me know your feelings on the film. But until next time, guys, peace.